So, this is part two of why I love what I do as a professional home organizer. And I want to encourage everyone to think back about what you did naturally as a child. What were you good at? Think back between the ages of, I think the ages that are quoted are between 7 and 11. Like, what were you really good at naturally? And try to use that data to help yourself as an adult. Because think about when you were a child, nothing was impossible. Everything was possible. I was bionic woman. I could fly from the rooftops and the trees and remember she used to make that sound when she was going really fast, but it was in slow motion. But anyway, when you were a child, nothing was impossible. There was limitless potential in every situation. And we used our imaginations in such a way that we could do anything, which is why Dave Matthews says, let the children lead the way, because he understands that when we were children, there were no things we couldn't do. We had dreams, we had big dreams, and we thought we could make them happen. And then you slowly become older and adult, and society hits you and tells you all of these things, and people in your world will say all of these things like why you can't do this or that or whatever. But it's imagination that has basically created the entire world. Think about somebody amazing like Steve Jobs. His imagination created the iPod. Or was it called an iPod? Anyway, it was this. Oh, oops. Sorry, that's my dogs in the background. So his imagination created the iPod, which was something he created personally for his daughter so she could listen to her favorite music and have it all in her pocket. And his kind of he didn't explain to you like how many bytes, how many gigabytes, what the mechanisms were, what the electronics were. He just said, imagine 1,000 songs in your pocket. And I just feel like that tagline right there is enough to ask each and every one of you to really go back to your imagination as a child and see what you can come up with. So for me, what I came up with is that even as a 4-year-old, I would go into my brother's room, my sister's rooms. I would go into the kitchen, the bottom drawers. I would rearrange everything. Sometimes it wasn't great, but I loved rearranging. That is one thing I loved to do all the time. And my dad is a professor of electrical engineering, and he had papers strewn everywhere, all over the place. And so I know he did not like when I straightened up all his stuff, because he had that kind of the chaos where he knew where everything really was. And I would straighten it all up and make it look really nice. And he would get really mad. Like he was actually kind of very upset about it. So anyway, basically think back to when you were a child, bring in your imagination, and see if you can translate that into work that you can do today as an adult. So that's just a little thing I wanted to add. But basically, what I wanted to continue to talk about, so this is part two, is my journey into becoming a professional home organizer, among a bunch of other things that I love to do and that I have also basically brought into my circle of life, these other things that I love to do. And sometimes you have to put a few things on the back burner and come back to them, because you can't do everything all at once. So basically, with my home organizing business, I also work with a lot of realtors and property managers. So I am moving into another type of business with property management, but that is still underway in the works. Meanwhile, these videos are going to be about what I know 100%, which is organizing. And let me pause for a minute because my dog is barking like crazy.